There are so many choices when it comes to setting up your flipped classroom. Finding or creating the flipped classroom material is a big part of that. The beauty of a flipped classroom is you can tailor it to your preferences and your students' needs. I found that when I did the following things, my students were more successful with the flipped classroom model. First, do the easy stuff outside of class. This includes reading material, watching a video to do the initial learning, taking notes, etc. Do not assign material to be done outside of class that may be too frustrating or that is stretching the students too far. Save the more difficult tasks for students to complete in the classroom when they are there to support each other and have your support. Next, find or create short videos, no more than 7 minutes. Students' attention spans are short, and they are even shorter when they are learning on their own. Do your students and yourself a favor and find or create shorter videos to keep their attention. I found that multiple short videos works as well, and I will often divide a lesson into 2 to 4 short videos. Remember, multiple short videos are much better than one lengthy one. One of the best things I did all year in my flipped classroom happened about halfway through the year. This was when I began to create my own videos. I threw this idea around in my mind for months before I actually had the nerve to do it. I did not want to be all over the internet. I did not want to open my teaching up to all those critics, and I did not want to have to learn to shoot, edit, upload, and troubleshoot the videos. I just kept coming back to the knowledge that I have about the importance of relationships with students. I've bonded with these students. I knew them, their likes, their dislikes, their weird quirks, and they knew all of these things about me. We had slowly and painfully been building these relationships over the course of the year, and I was not taking advantage of the power of those relationships. I knew that if I was the person on the screen, the students would be more engaged in their flipped lessons. They would be more successful in their learning. So I planned the filming of my first video lesson. The topic was graphing linear equations from a table. I divided the concept into 3 parts to be sure my videos were short and I would not lose the attention of my students. I had my daughter, who is a year younger than my students, film it with my cell phone, and I nervously uploaded it to YouTube as an unlisted video. This means no one can search the topic and find your video. They have to have the URL. This made me feel a little bit better that only my students would be seeing it. I assigned the lesson, and I did not tell my students that it would be me on the video. I was so nervous to go to school the next day. It was worse than first day teacher nervous. I had nothing to worry about though. My students were ecstatic. When I checked our Google Classroom the next morning, many of them had posted encouraging words for me. In class, they told me they were so excited to know the person on the screen and that they paid better attention. And the material made more sense because they were used to how I explained things. One student said he knew he could trust the person on the screen was actually a teacher, and they knew what they were doing. So I started recording all my own flipped lessons, and the difference in the quality of class discussions and thinking improved even more. I am still nervous every time I post a video. I still post them all as unlisted. I'm hoping that someday I'll be more comfortable with this and change all of my videos to public so I can help even more students, but I'm just not quite that comfortable with it yet, but I'll get there eventually. There were a few problems. First, I used my iPhone, had my daughter record the videos. However, I'm a teacher on a teacher's salary, and upgrading my 4-year-old iPhone was not a big priority and not something that I really needed. And so the first few videos were blurry and difficult to see because my phone was a little bit older. Since I uploaded to YouTube from my phone, I had no idea that they were blurry. They looked great on my phone. The other problem was that my daughter was a little bit shaky when she held my phone. So to remedy all of these problems, we started using a video camera with a tripod. The picture was crystal clear and there was no more Blair Witch effect. It worked like a charm. I made a lot of mistakes in my videos. Okay, not a lot, but at least one every other video and sometimes a few per video. Math is about making mistakes though, right? I believe that it's important for students to see their teachers make mistakes. I rarely caught the mistakes before uploading them anyways. So I stopped checking for the mistakes. I told my students that when they found a mistake to comment on the video on YouTube and on our Google Classroom. In their comment, I asked them to include the mistake, the time on the video that I made the mistake, and a complete specific description of how I should have done it so that their classmates can understand the mistake and the concept. Even if someone else had already commented about it, I wanted them to comment also. I sometimes even gave them candy for catching my mistakes. I owned those mistakes so that my students could see that even their teacher makes mistakes, and it's okay. We learn from those. They searched for my mistakes in every single video. They loved to catch my mistakes and correct their teacher. And I knew that they understood the concept if they could correct my mistakes while I was teaching them. Sometimes I made mistakes on purpose just to keep them on their toes and check their understanding. But let's face it, most of my mistakes were actual mistakes, and it's okay. So to recap, do the easy stuff outside of class. Short videos, even if it's a few short videos. Making your own videos uses the relationships you have with those students to your advantage. Use good recording equipment and use your mistakes to your advantage. And have a good time creating your own flipped classroom material.